Alright lads, we're back again. How we all doing? Long time no see, Tony.
I was missing last week. I had a very, very busy week. Wish I could have came. Podcast probably a lot better without me, I'll be honest. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that my schedule's allowed for me to join you again.
We're back at the rotation. The rotation's back again.
That's it. Big result for you last night, obviously. 1-1 draw with Celtic. European football's on the cusp. Buzzing.
Massive result. Can we pause this 1 second just two can talk?
Aye.
I've got a wee surprise for you actually.
Oh, cool.
Oh, right. Okay. This is exciting. What's he got for us?
Unscripted.
Christmas has come early. Has he
He's in his
managed
house,
to...
but unless he can get it down the microphone somehow.
I thought, why not ask the man, the myth, the legend,
Oh, look at
for
that.
his top.
Whoa.
That's my first Sorare-based top swap.
Fantastic, man.
Carter
Not putting it
Vickers
on because
shirt.
How does it smell, Tony?
he done
Busy
a lot
game?
of running, I'll tell you that for nothing. He done a lot of running, the boy, it's sweating. That's alright, it's just wet, it's still soaking wet, but that's, I think they stay like that for a while, but should have brought that, I should have been a bit more prepared and brought that in before, shouldn't have.
By the way, like, see you did come on last night, Tony. You were close to getting a few mistakes in the 6-yard box, weren't you?
I think with Celtic, you need to act as if you're going to sit back, and then when they're getting comfortable, just press the life out them and everybody on the same page. And to be fair, the pitch can get a bit sticky at us. So, but they handled it well, didn't they? They got it away, but there was a couple we pressed them and we nearly got it. And then I had a wee header. I just wish that Hart would have tipped that to the side. It would have been a wee shot on target. It would have been lovely.
How much were you thinking? I was going to say that. How much were you thinking about your score? Like every touch, did it enter your mind much in the game?
Not keeping the ball, but like, see, like for instance, if you create a good chance, you're like, oh, that's a good chance created.
Yeah.
Not like for points. You're just thinking about. So before you'd be like, yeah, I've nearly got an assist there, or I've got an assist, but now you'll be calling it a chance created, or I just won a duel. Whereas before you're like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
It's
It
not.
was
It's
just
more the
up to before.
language than the actual. Yeah, it's more the language than the actual
Action.
like buzz about doing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That's class.
No,
I did
it
a
was
watch along
funny.
for the game last night, and you know, in all fairness, man, like, see with that chance, I forget who hit it, but just come off Joe Hart's near post in the second half. Like, I think you could have had 2 or 3 goals, man. You know,
We wrote.
with some things.
It was a young boy that had it. We Rory.
Yeah, McLeod.
Aye, and then the follow up as well. I've not seen if I was just warming up behind, so I never seen the angle if he was offside or not. But it was. We done all right. We were in a good shape and we kept the ball, and I was buzzing for the boys because it made it easier when I came on. You just felt as if you were in the game, and I think if you're always in a game 1-0, maybe even 2-0, you've always got half a chance because every team concedes chances against them.
It's fact of football, isn't it?
It was good. It was good. It was I've made myself a rule that I can't play players that I've got in my gallery against my own team, which is normal, quite ethical. And
Yeah.
if McGregor or Taylor were getting the ball and giving it away, I was hoping they would maybe have give it to somebody else and let them give it away. You know what I mean? Not do anything, but just see, instead of giving it away, give it to somebody else and let them give it away, please. Keep that score a wee bit higher so your value stays up.
We bit of price protection.
In all seriousness, no, it's I love Sorare, I do, but football always comes first. Like we said, we've spoke about that, haven't we?
Aye. Did you see the video that's on the timeline today? Ajax won the title as well last night, I think, or something. And Kenneth Taylor he comes up in the changing room when the champagne's out, and he's like to David Klassen and Daily Blind. He's like, "How did your Sorare teams get on the day?"
That's amazing. I've got his super rare.
It's all in Dutch and stuff.
Oh, that's brilliant. I've got Kenny Taylor's
Klassen?
super. I've got
right,
Kenny.
nice.
I've had a Klassen. I did have a Klassen rare, but not a super. But I've got a rare and a super of Kenny Taylor. I've got big high hopes for him next season. I reckon he can be right up there with the Veermans of this world in terms of his SO5 output.
Bold.
So exciting to see. He was my big purchase a few months ago. That was like, I think I can't remember who I bought him from, but it was someone who was announced like on their socials that they were leaving the platform, and I went and had a little look at who was in the gallery, and I saw Kenny Taylor, and I thought, was picking up rares of his when they kind of first got minted, seeing how he was doing in the sort of youth setup there. Thought he might be a decent pickup for future. So I missed his super rares at auction, but one he had one in his gallery. I can't remember who it was now, but picked one up. I think I paid like just over an ETH for it as well, and now he's in the side and he's picked up a fair few decisives in the last few games as well. So super excited to see, especially if Gravenberch moves on like we all expect. I think he'll be like, be one of the main men in the middle there.
They love a youth player in Ajax as well, don't they?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you. So I'm not terribly close to Ajax in terms of the ins and outs of the squad dynamics and that. So does he fill in for Gravenberch then?
I think he is at the moment. They're kind of playing like him and Klaassen at the minute while they've got a lot of injuries, and like Alvarez is in and out as well. But the last 3 games, I think it is, he started every game, and he's picked up a couple of assists as well. So yeah, he puts out some pretty decent all around. I think yesterday he was in the 40s yesterday, I think, or maybe the low 50s. I'd have to quickly check, but because my teams were like not really looking like they were going to hit any high scores this week, like after a couple of games, you're like, your interest wanes a little bit when you don't think you're going to score anything come the last sort of game day. So I had a little bit of interest in the game last night. I watched it, but it was more just to see how he played. I had an eye on the Zwolle game as well. Down the bottom, I think they had Sparta Rotterdam against PEC Zwolle. I think Zwolle like really needed to win that game. I think they're down now. Realistically, I've got 3 games left, but they can still stay up. But they've got some quite tough fixtures compared to the rest of the teams down there. So I had a little eye on that, and I picked up a number 1 mint of a young Swedish lad who plays Feyenoord, Patrick Walemark, and he started for Feyenoord last night, and he looks an exciting young player. So I did have a little eye on that. He didn't get as much of the ball as you'd have liked, but he's shown some promise. So had a bit of interest in there. He's a midfielder, but he plays sort of like almost like a wide forward, like just behind the front 2. But speaking to a few Feyenoord fans, because I had someone trying to like buy him off me in the week, and they were like, "Oh, how did you know about him?" And do you know what? I don't actually know. When you go through these sort of like scouting missions, I'll go through these scouting missions where I'm watching YouTube videos of kids or like reading articles about like hot prospects in European like under-19s teams, and then I'll go onto Sorare and I'll just follow them if they haven't got a card, like so that when the cards come available, they're in my like favourites list.
Right, nice.
I went into the market the other day and I hit favourites, and I seen a couple of like number 1 mints that like at the end of the season, I'm like, oh, they're still minting like cards that haven't had a card yet. And I filtered it by like 1 of 100 to see like what players are just getting their first cards now that are like not America, not Asia. And his was one of them. And I thought, I wonder how many other people are following this kid. And there wasn't too many. And I paid like 0.26 ETH, so he wasn't cheap. But I went back before it ran out and reminded myself why I might have followed him, watched some videos, and I thought, yeah, this kid looks decent. I'm going to get that one. I have the 1 of 100.
It's mad how confident you get with your thumb, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially when you've got a bit of ETH in the balance as well. You're like, I've got to get this in. So hard to like not buy.
Especially if you made a good trade, so you've got a wee bit more money for a card you paid, your finger just starts doing this on, and then you end up with 3 players, you're like, I don't even know if they're good.
Yeah.
I don't even, you'd hope so, but if somebody said to you, right, Tony, why do you think he's a good player? I don't know. I don't know. I've seen his price dropped.
People are watching you as well. I'm sure like they're watching everyone you buy. Like, oh, he must know something we don't. But you're just the same as all of us.
Last week some guy called me sketchy because I posted about Joe Lewis. Joe Lewis wanting to sell him.
Yeah.
But that's what you do on the platform. I'm not there to do your research. Joe Lewis, at this moment, is Aberdeen's number 1 goalkeeper. I have not heard one bit of information other than in the press to say that he's not going to be next year. Seeing that they want to sign keepers. Will they get a better goalkeeper than Joe Lewis? I'm not sure. However, how is that sketchy for me? Do your own research. If I put him up to sell him,
it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Maybe don't put it on Twitter, but the reason I put it on Twitter is because for me it's like a community where if I see things on Twitter, I'll go on your profile and I'll check and I'll maybe put an offer in if I like a player. That's just how I work, and it's probably a bit old school, but the same yesterday I messaged for my signature card. He done a tweet after it. I called him out, and then he was doing it. Fair play to the guy. Anyway, he done a tweet saying he's trying to flog his signature card. Yeah, because it's got a lot of value, but the signature, I could go and write my signature 100 times and it means nothing to me, but it could mean something to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could, do you know what I mean? I can do my signature whenever, and it's so. I sold my signature card yesterday for an amazing deal. Sold it to Black. You know him,
Hey.
Quinny Stish. You know him, don't you?
Yeah.
We need to get him on
Sorare.
one time, and I'll be honest, he gave me Cal McGregor rare and 0.2 Ethereum for it, and I'm buzzing because Cal McGregor's, for me, one of the best challenger mids, and I've been looking for a challenger midfielder. So if I can use that to get him, and then maybe the 0.2 to get, I'm looking right now at Paul Unuachu for Genk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If I can put that towards my thing and get the A2 players for my card, then I'm buzzing, and then it means he's also got a piece of history, the first signature card of mine. So
Yep.
to say I don't go and score 40 goals next season as well, and he gets a better deal, which you never know. Who knows? It might not happen, but we all live in a world of hope and fantasy, don't we?
Global fantasy.
Global fantasy, SO5.
No,
This is the thing.
I think the thing with the player cards is like they're merch that the company like gives to you guys. You know, they don't need to give you a signature card, but they do, and like everyone, I think except for like 2 or 3, everyone sells them. You know, so that's it's merchandise. Like you say, the value to you is virtually zero, but the value to somebody else is massive.
And I think if you want to play the game as well, like you said, you got a decent deal there. You got a card that you can use. That was what you needed more than like your own card. So why not take a little extra premium on top of the card as well? Like you said, everyone's happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've seen you, Tony, when we were talking about this when that Twitter thread kind of broke out. But like, I've got one player edition card, a Matteo Siachig. It's a rookie goalkeeper. I bought. So again, like you can go check this out. It's on Sorare data. But that guy Siachig, he must be like the 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper at Charleroi, right? But the guy, bear in mind, it's a player edition card. So what that means is he's had to sign up to Sorare, send him an email. Tony will know the details better than me how it works. Get his player edition card. That card was then instantly transferred into the possession of the number 2 goalkeeper at Charleroi, and his name is like Der Speeders or something like that. And it was him that I bought it off of. You know, this little guy Siachig, he's never done anything with his account ever. You know, and now this guy Der Speeders has got a sharding out of me, which is fine. I've got a little signature card. I'm buzzing about it, and it's just a bit of merch that's in the platform. You know,
that's the thing. Like, if you know players in your team that you want to get that are good, why not? Because they're not going to use it, and it's another person signed up. And if they are going to use it, then why not? I've got a couple of boys for the team on the game, so it's more people onto the platform and more users. So why not? I don't understand the problem with getting your teammates' signature cards. Okay, well maybe in a fortunate position, but there's people also in fortunate positions that know about a transfer or having it and buy players and then make a profit. It's not inside knowledge. It's maybe you live in Belgium and you hear something first, buy a couple of the players and then you'll sell them.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any inside knowledge. I'm not. The best way to explain it is the teams are submitted on for instance, a Tuesday morning and we've got a game on a Wednesday. We don't find out a team till 12 o'clock.
Yeah, it's already
so how
gone.
can I have inside knowledge?
I was actually thinking about this last night when I seen the team sheet because you were on the bench. You started on the bench last night.
Yeah,
you know.
But I started at the weekend before as well. But the last 2 games I put my card in training team because I just wanted to pump up the XP, and I put Christian Ramirez in instead. Both games, and he was on the bench at the weekend. I thought, right, they drew. We'll get him in this week, and he was in America.
Well, I think another thing as well is like no one can see who anyone's lined up until the game week's in play either. So like no one's watching like who you've lined up. They're not going to benefit from seeing who you've lined up either. So I think that's one of the key things about why there isn't as much of a big problem with the footballers playing, because we can't see who you're picking. We can't see what you've lined up for the weekend ahead of the game week window.
Week's already
it's too late. Yeah. So, like
even if we weren't playing,
like you said, like the only thing is like watching who you buy, but then we don't know why you're buying or selling any of these players, like we said earlier as well. So there's an argument for or against that. I think that like it's like one of them things, isn't it? Like some people want to some people might interpret that differently to others. I don't personally. I do follow a few footballers on there, but obviously, I think the way that the platform is built, there's not really any main real reason to like follow people on there because I can't. Like, what is the benefit of following
So
anyone's on there? Well, there isn't any. There's not really any utility cooked into that follow button just yet, is there?
I'd say it's even harder for me because I probably know some good young players at us, but I can't buy them. I'm not allowed to buy them because, well, I'm not allowed to buy them, but it's not fair if I go and snap them all up. So
but
I just leave it.
That's just your opinion, like that's no different to me going to Dundee United like youth games and going, oh, that boy McLeod's a player, I'm going to buy 50 of them.
Well, that's the thing, and
the only reason you think
exactly.
they're good is because you see them. You're not like you're not going to ordain their career and say, oh, well, I've bought 50 of your rookies at Dundee United, so you're going to go play for Real Madrid next year.
I think PK picked up a few of the Barca youngsters, didn't he? He snapped up
Gavi's and Pedri, so like they were nothing.
That's what I mean, and that's what I don't. But I know that because I'm a footballer, I'm going to be under the microscope, and people are going to think I'm doing dodgy deals, and that's just idiots, innit? That's just.
You're always going to get it. I think this community's like it, innit? There's like some people I think they're just on there to moan. They just want to see everyone fail.
What I don't understand is, see if I buy a player for 0.3, right? So for instance, the Joe Lewis, I bought him for 0.18, and I wanted to sell him for 0.2. He's still playing in the team, and he might not be there next year, but I'm not the manager. I don't pick a game and it says I might not be there. Am I not allowed to sell him? Am I?
No, I think you're here to play the game like everyone else, right?
So
that's the game.
Why do people have a problem with me selling them for a 0.02 profit? And if somebody made a bid of 0.18, I was taking it. So where am I actually gaining there? I don't understand where I'm gaining there because it's a good goalkeeper. And for instance, say he doesn't go to Hibs, say he doesn't stay at Aberdeen, sorry, and he goes to Hibs, or he goes to Dundee United, or he goes to Ross County or Livingston or a team in the Championship, plays 40 games, you're getting a goalkeeper for 0.2. That's a gamble you're taking. Because whenever the commons go out the game, the goalkeepers are going to skyrocket for me. I think I've actually got, and I'll filter it just now, I've got 7 goalkeepers in my gallery now. Rare.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been really following a lot of the news on goalies at the minute just to see if there are any like little bargains you can pick up now because, like you said, I think
the Russian,
they're all going up, yeah? They've got to go up soon.
The Russian league, I can thieve Shunin. Shunin just signed a new 2-year deal. His 1 week average is just above 0.2. If he's the starting goalkeeper for the next 2 years and you get utility out that.
I think the only thing with the Russians is you're not going to get that European midweek utility. That's the only thing when you compare Russia to the rest of the game because it looks like this
0.2.
Yeah.
Then it's not as if you're expecting that. But for instance, if you're going to get Joe Hart, for instance, let's say, I'll type him in just now. He's 0.7. Latest 7-day trading. Are you going to pay an extra 0.5 for 6 more games? Maybe 12 more games? No. 6 more games, group, and then say they qualify twice. For 10 more games, are you really going to pay triple?
It's not really for the extra games. It's more, I guess, the games he does play,
More clean sheets,
agreed,
maybe.
But do you understand the point in terms of... No, by the way, well, Joe Hart scores probably the wrong guy because he's always in the 60s, but Shunin's utility is good. Shunin's high, but for instance, and while we're talking about that, I sold a Davy Roaf for Ghent. I sold him... I'll tell you how much I bought him for and I'll tell you how much I sold him. Does it show you how much I bought him for? I must have bought him in a trade or something. I sold him for 0.435 and now he's got European utility and now his floor is 0.56. So there's a goalkeeper who he's similar to Joe Hart in terms of numbers. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 light to dark greens, 4 between 45 and 55, and only 3 yellows in his last maybe 15 games. He's got European utility, so the Joe Hart one I understand. I know I'm going off topic, but he's 0.53, but you can get a Shunin for 0.2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Shunin scores aren't bad, so for me, I don't know why I'm ranting on about this, but the goalkeepers
I feel that as
will
well
be
because I
massive in
think
the game.
like maybe it was a little while ago now, but I sold I had Allison, and I thought he was trading at 1.8 at the time. He's probably gone up since, but at the time I couldn't justify having a 1.8 champ Euro keeper when I wasn't ever really like challenging for the top rewards. So instead of holding him, I think I sold him and I bought two goalkeepers. I bought Trapp and I bought Dimitrievski, and I
Hey,
still
love a bit of
had
trap.
money to save. Yeah, the Trap Lord.
I
But
don't
yeah,
want to tell you how much Allison is, to be honest.
yeah,
It's a
don't.
4.
Yeah, oh, don't, man. I
No,
thought
his
I thought it
floor.
was the boy.
To
Definitely
be
sold
fair,
him early.
profit's profit. Doesn't matter if there's more profit in the future, as long as you're making a profit.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm worrying about Saint Etienne because I've got Etienne Green's super. I know he's going to be the number one again next season, but they're
What
going
division?
down. They're going down, mate. And I'm like,
Is he not on? No,
please.
he's English, isn't he?
He's English though, so I'm just praying they go down and they sell him because he's probably their most valuable player they've got at the moment, given he's at under 21 England international.
What level could they get to? Premier League?
I think a Premier club might pick him up to send him out on loan to the Championship. That is
He's
my
a sub
hope.
just now.
He is, but he was their number one. He picked up an injury and they decided to pick up a goalkeeper who had a bit more experience. So they picked up Bernardoni, but Bernardoni's going back at the end of the season, and managers come out and confirmed that Etienne Green will be number one again next season. They felt that they needed a bit more experience or someone to for Etienne Green to learn a bit more from before he cements his place. But I think they're going down. Like they were 2-0 up against Nice in the week and then conceded 4 goals at a time like this when they just need to keep it together. You're 2-0 up in a big game like that and let 4 goals in. How are they going to stay up? I can't see it. And I think that Etienne Green, potentially Madi Camara, maybe have to get rid of them. Kazri, maybe Wabi Kazri. They've got a few players I can't imagine are going to play in League Two in France. But
Yeah.
I'm just
Guys
begging.
like Kazri as well be on decent money because I think they brought him back from Sunderland, didn't they? And he was one of those guys that, would get into Premier League money, and then when you go back to France, you can get a bit more on the
Yeah.
return.
I think that Etienne Green's been in a lot of British press lately. There was like a BBC sort of article about the top sort of under 21s in Europe, and he was one of them that was mentioned. So there is a bit of a buzz and a bit of hype. He's been linked to Tottenham, but if he goes to Tottenham, I feel like he'll just sit on the bench. I don't think they'll loan him out. They won't probably. But you kind of want him to go to another club that's got like a Man City or someone that will definitely loan him out to a Championship side. Or I just don't know if I'm going to get that utility out of him next season, and it's quite worrying because I bought him for this season and then he got dropped, and now he could go down a division. It's like.
But maybe
scary.
some team in France pick him up.
Hopefully.
Or like a Newcastle, or if he's linked with Tottenham, you're hoping. But that's the gamble we take. For me, how much did you pay for him? Did you pay for it more than what he's at just now?
I think, yeah. So I got a super rare of his, and I think at the time I paid 1.8, which I thought at the time was a good price because he was playing and he's 20 years old. I've got ages of U23 utility. He's being talked up as a top talent. Watched him play a few times, thought he had a bit about him. And then just see him, all of the, the problems that Saint Etienne have had since. It's just like, I just don't know I don't know what to think. I can't sell him. I can't realistically sell him because I can't see him staying in League Two for long either. Like, I just don't want him to go
maybe it's a long-term hold.
Yeah, I think it might be.
They come back up.
I've had to do that before though. I've had a super rare Boschnevics, who I bought right near the end, probably about a year ago now, probably about this time last season. He was playing for Hiramvi and putting up big scores. And then he did his ACL in the preseason, and he's not played a game this season, but he's apparently back in full training now. But I don't think they'll bother risking him. They'll probably give him the preseason to fully recover now. You'll probably know better, Tony. Like if you were coming back from an ACL now, would they put you out for a few minutes at the end of a game, or do you think they just wait?
Possibly you'd possibly have for instance, you'd have like a threshold. You'd be like, you can get 20 minutes. That would help you. You could get 25. and probably build you up, but only if it suited everybody.
Yeah.
Wouldn't.
So like, if you've got like plenty of players fit, do you think, you know? And I suppose it depends on where you are in the league and stuff like that as well,
If
doesn't
you're
it?
winning, if you're 2-0 up, possibly. If you're playing for nothing, then possibly. But if you're really needing to win, they wouldn't go, oh, you've only got 20 minutes in, we're giving you 45, because it's not worth the risk.
But yeah,
Nowhere near worth the risk. And
he's apparently back in training, but I've had to sit on his super rare. And, you know, this season I've got that Lautaro Giannetti at Sarsfield, who I bought for like my America for postseason. And he's out for the season pretty much now. And who else we got? There's a few like Chiesa, and obviously I've got Wirtz as well, like out long term. Painful.
Chiesa's one I'd like to pick up. I seen he was a low price, same with Wirtz, but I couldn't
Yeah, he's a difficult one.
fathom picking him up. But Chiesa, he's at 0.7, but people are getting him for 0.5, and I think he's a scoring machine when he's back fit. He's just got to get better and better.
Definitely. I'm not too concerned about him. It's just like having that patience to like let him come back, and I think you just
You're
got
lucky
to.
that your gallery's bigger.
Definitely, yeah. I'm sat on a fair few.
Because if your galleries, for instance, you've got 25 cars and you're playing 4 or 5 leagues, then you probably need to sell that. But I've tried to get myself 6 or 7 boys per league that can spill onto All-Star Pro, so that if I've got a couple injuries, I can just move about and not struggle. Which kind of moves me on to my next one. I really need a striker. Any
What
league,
division?
preferably Challenger this weekend, to then move into next year. Somebody that's maybe dropped a bit. Onuachu's kinda catching my eye. I don't know why he's just popped up. Like I said, when you've got a bit of wiggle room, you see something and you go, right, I'm having him. And his price has dropped slightly. He's down at kind of 0.2 something. And that kind of then helps me. For instance, I'll just play with Americans. I've got Joseph Martinez.
Yep.
I bought him last week to then come on to. I like buying players that I know are going to make a profit.
Yeah.
That I can use. So for instance, he's out injured for a few weeks. I'll buy him now and be patient with him, with the intention that instead of being patient with a challenger player now for 4 months, I can be patient with him for 4 weeks.
Yep.
His price will go back up, probably more than what the challengers will go up anyway. Plus he's a monster at scoring, so
I'm just having a little look at
choose my next one.
Who I've got in like that sort of challenger forwards, and I've got a fair few good players. I think that, like, depending on what kind of budget you're going with, but I think like the Austrian league's got the shortest break of all of the challenger leagues. I think they come back before most of the rest of the division. So in terms of like picking up a player that might be profitable as a trade as well, you know, I think that if that is the case, I'd need to double check it. But if they do come back before others, I'd imagine that their prices will rise before the rest of the challenger teams do, because people will be like trying to play that first couple of weeks of challenger when it opens, and it might only be Austria if my memory serves me correct.
That makes sense, because the only problem with Austria is I don't know anything about Austria. The only one I'd be comfortable getting would be like a goalkeeper or something, because I know goalkeepers for me, 1 week's a clean sheet, 1 week's not. They can make saves, but at least there's a consistency. Whereas strikers for me don't score in 3, come out the team. Maybe some new player comes and breaks in and they don't play, and then I'm stuck with somebody I don't know about. Whereas, for instance, if it was Liam Boyce in SPFL, best example, I know he's a goal scorer. He's got a lot of clout behind him for scoring in previous seasons. He's a good scorer that I can actually keep an eye on these things. Whereas Austria, I'm maybe a bit too distant. For instance, Russia, Portugal, I follow people on the platform that I get wee tiny bits of advice, so I can that's as far as I stretch. But Austria's a bit too far for me, and I don't know why. There's no explanation why.
I hear that,
for some reason.
I mean, I've won quite a few. I've won a fair few sort of like Austria cards. I picked up like a Eric Martel, who is at Austria Vienna. But then other than that, I keep winning like Austrian forwards. I've got like Yusuf Demir at Rapid Vienna. I've got Nene Dorjales, who is on loan from Salzburg to Ried. And then I've got Ferdi Droif, who's, I think he might actually be on loan, Ferdi Droif, but with an option from Mechelen.
Who was that was on loan to Reed?
Nene
From
Dorjales. He's an
Salzburg?
18-year-old. Yeah.
Spell that. D.
Nene. The forward surname is Dorjales.
Right, I've got him
Dorgeles.
here.
And yeah, I mean, when I won
Yeah.
him, I didn't know a lot about him. So I looked him up, and he's out on loan from Salzburg. He's only 18, but now Salzburg have sold Adeyemi. I just wonder if it's worth holding on to him on the off chance that they do bring him in.
I think players like that on loan for these teams like Ajax, Salzburg, Bayern,
Yeah,
Celtic, there's so much room for them to go back and become a star.
yeah. I picked up Johnny Kenny, the Celtic youngster, for that exact reason,
Right,
that
nice.
maybe they send him out on loan to hopefully a side that's covered. Because I don't think he's getting into the Celtic starting lineup anytime soon. But I read an article. The funny reason that I got onto, I think I searched for Nene Dorjales on like Google to see what came up about him, and one of the things that came up was an article from a football analysis website that was analysing like the most likely player to replace Adeyemi at Salzburg if he left, and they look at players like statistically, like their performance. So Dorjales came up because he's obviously already there, but he's apparently quite a good fit in terms of like his playing style. And then it had Johnny Kenny, who at the time was playing at Sligo in Ireland, and I thought, I read about him, had a little look at him, and then I saw that he'd signed for Celtic. So I thought, I wonder if there's a card of his. So I went and thought, I'm just going to pick one up. It cost me like 0.0471, so £104. And yeah, I thought I'd maybe pick him up because he's 18 years old. He's probably going to be sent out on loan somewhere. He's still training with the first team, but he's unlikely going to get a chance. Maybe he gets a game before the end of the season.
And
Who knows?
They seem to send players out to the SPL to kind of give them that kind of
proper experience, right? Against the
Yeah.
teams they're going to play against.
Because they've done it with Shaw, they've done it a couple of times. I think that could be a shout, by the way. I didn't know he was a striker.
Yeah, he's a forward. He doesn't look a bad player from what I've seen. Like I've seen like his sort of highlights from his time at Sligo. But yeah, apparently he's training with the first team. But Ange has mentioned him in a couple of recent sort of press conferences and said, he's training, but it's difficult. They've got so many forwards at Celtic. I can't see how he gets in. So
good forwards as well.
Yeah, so he's probably, and at his age,
good.
it makes sense to send him out. So that's a little punt. Didn't take, it wasn't an expensive punt, but yeah, Johnny Kenny.
Yeah, no, definitely. No.
So, guys, we're coming into what should be the last game week of the European, like the full European season, the last big weekend. For most of us, like Challenger Europe is the region that most of us knock about, and Champion Europe's where all the kind of headlines are this weekend. But we're going to have another little kind of segment, if you like, on the podcast. We're going to pick out a Challenger player each from our gallery that this weekend we think is going to do the best possible. Now, we're sticking it to, has to be somebody in our gallery, and also somebody we're going to be using this game week, and then we can revisit this next week and see who's called it out as the good shout for a Challenger player for this game week. I'll get us kicked off just because I've got mine in front of me. I'm just going to go with Tom Rogic, Celtic at home at Motherwell. I think he starts, and I think he's got a 70 plus in him.
Nice.
Ooh. I'm just having a little look now.
I think I was going to call you out there, Quinny, and going safe, but then he's not guaranteed to start.
Yeah.
So you've no went that safe. I like what you've done.
It's a bit of jeopardy. If he plays, I'm in. If he doesn't play, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Right, I'll go. Stish, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Fedor Smolov from Dynamo. I was going to go Quincy Promise. Both of them aren't guaranteed to start. Smolov missed last week with a medical issue, but he played midweek and scored and got an assist in the cup. So I'll go Fedor Smolov. I think he'll get a 70 plus as well.
Oof.
I'm just looking now who I've got, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's the last game of the season. I'm trying to find someone who's definitely got something still to play for. You don't want a player who's probably going to get rotated out. Like the sort of like usual suspects, Joey Veerman's injured, so I don't think I pick him. I'm going to go with, I think, I'm going to go with Sebastian Szymanski at Dynamo. He didn't play the last league game. He played in the cup in the week, and they brought him off early. So I hope that's a signal that he's going to start. And he is a player. Yeah, he's a player that normally can put up a big score. So I'm going to go with Szymanski, I think, and hope for the best.
Right, and the loser. So this will be the first video on our new Twitter page for the podcast. The loser will get one of your songs up, Stish, and you need to dance to it with the song in the headphone for at least 10 seconds. And if it's a dance that looks cool, you need to do it again. You need to look like an idiot when you're doing the dance.
Yeah.
It can't even be in rhythm either. It needs to be out of sync with the music.
Aye, so we'll lay the music on later. So it's a freestyle.
So it's right out of time, yeah.
Uncut it. Aye. Well, lads, I'll be honest. I hope Szymanski and Tom Roderick don't start. And I hope to see one of you shaking that booty.
I reckon Quinny's got moves, to be honest with you, man. I feel like I saw him drinking those cocktails when he was in Spain with his breakfast, and he just strikes me as I bet he's like down sub club on the weekend, like giving it large. And
you have a pair of sunglasses and a cigar on doing it. I can imagine it right now. A sombrero for the Champions League away days.
I don't think I'm physically capable of dancing when I'm sober, so I don't know if I lose how I'm going to manage that.
Lads, on another topic, when I brought up sombrero, the Ibrox warming up the other day.
Yep.
Fair play to them. They're going to Seville, whatever, run down, and Big Charles Mulgrew says to me, "Look at him in the stand." That was that. Guy, they were all bringing sombreros, singing "We're off to sunny Spain," whatever, Viva España. A guy was in the crowd with a purple witch's hat. Purple witch's hat.
He didn't get the memo.
I don't know if it was banter. If he thought it was a sombrero, we were warming up and we could not. Big Charlie just kept laughing at me and couldn't see anything other than that purple witch's hat on his head. I just wish I could have pointed him and said, "Mate, it's no sombrero, get it off." Honestly, it was sensational. It was witches a wizard.
He's off to Transylvania,
Wizardly Place. What was that? Waverley Place or whatever? Witches a Waverley Place. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm a bit young.
That's brilliant.
If anyone listening to this knows who went to the Rangers Dundee United game wearing a purple witch's hat, get that picture tagged and get us.
Delete his number because that's pathetic. Coming up like that.
Remove him from the WhatsApp group. Oh, that is oats, man. But
we normally as well have been doing a lot of stuff on underdog players on the podcast the last couple of weeks as well. I'm not going to lie, typically my underdog picks that I've been kind of chatting about in the podcast are typically the ones that I've been playing in my specialist limited team because I've just not got that much imagination for digging through them, to be quite honest with you. This week I'm going with Sesko as my underdog striker in the specialist team, and I'm maybe he starts last game of the season. Even if he doesn't, he can get a goal from the bench maybe. And I'm putting Lung in goals, so he could be either 17 or 60 in terms of his score. So that's all I've got for underdog this week.
I'm having a little look at it again because I think like the last couple of weeks I've had Van Zier, and obviously he's had pretty tough fixtures against Bruges. They've got Anderlecht this week. I don't think he's going to deliver. A couple of the players I've kind of got in my placeholder at the minute, but I picked up a goalkeeper at Feyenoord, Marciano, and I looked at him when he first came back into the side. I thought he might be a decent cheap pickup because end of the season. Obviously, Feyenoord had a bit of a run in Europe, so he had that midweek utility. But I literally just picked him up last week. He put up a 70 score this week. They've got FC Twente. But also, another little mention on him is I noticed that he's Israel international. And we've got like a little block of international fixtures in a few weeks' time. So I thought, why not pick him up now? He's got a little bit of utility in those kind of like weeks where we're going to have like next to no fixtures. So where I thought he might not have been a pickup, I thought, do you know what? When I saw that gives me a little bit of extra utility beyond the European season. So yeah, I'm picking him out because he's a goalkeeper that is actually he is eligible for the underdog this weekend. So I'm going to go with Ophir Marciano at Feyenoord. They've got Twente at home, so he's going to be my pick.
Nice. I'll stay away from the Russian team because all my suggestions have been in Russia, and I'll go for Gadi Aguirre, Atlas. He's one that was getting good scores before the league stopped, a couple of games before, and then kind of died down a little bit. He got a 65, a 70, a 65 and a 68 all in the space of 5 games. But then he got a 47, a 42, a 23, an 8, a 50. So he's brought his average right down. I think he could, with a lot of games, a lot to ride on these games, produce big scores.
For sure.
I'm having a little look at like who else there is as well. I just kind of like did the filter on Sorare data to see who's under 45 but is over 45 for like the L40. And there's like Jose Martinez at Philadelphia, who's got an L40 of a 48. He plays every game. He's there. He's not bad. He doesn't look too bad a pickup. Nikita Chernov at Spartak Moscow, defender.
Nice.
He's got an L40 of 53, but he is eligible with the L15 under, and you can pick him up at the moment for 0.005. So a nice little bargain there. There's always a few bargains, isn't there? It's like the beauty of the underdog. I think you can pick a team up reasonably cheap. Yeah, I think there's a few there. That's always my filter, my tip of the week. Get onto the Sorare Data player search tab. Do the L15 between 35 and 45, but the L40 over 45, so you can find those players who have had a dip in form or something like that. That's normally a decent little filter I use, and then I'll put the price down low so I can see who's cheap as well. Try and pick up a few to fill the gaps.
The few times I've tried to do the filters, I've kind of went about it the opposite way, where you'll do the L15 on obviously what you need, but I'll then try and get a high L5.
Yeah,
and try and catch them that's actually in form, but they've got some form baggage, you know, it's weighing them down in some way. So that's interesting. You'd kind of do it the other way around. I like that.
I've definitely done it that way as well. I just think that's the way I've just set it now, but that is probably a better one, to be honest, because then you've got a player who's hit some decent scores in the last 5. That's the real outliers, isn't it? Like, there's no reason that L15 should be under 45, but somehow magically it is. If you can hit one of those players who's like got decisives in the last 3 games, but still manages to come under the L15, then you're laughing, really. But,
I've got like 6 good looking players for this game week that their L15 is 41 or 42. I can't like get into these squads that are just up. It's an absolute killer.
Yeah, I need to have a little look at mine. I've got a few players I've got to fill a gap, so I might pick up a little cheap one. Failing that, I think I've got Tony Velena, but I think, didn't he get sent off in the week? Was it him? No, Yangel Herrera got sent off. He was my other player. I noticed he got sent off.
Herrera got sent off for me last night as well. I think it was 2 yellows, but that was a kick in the teeth for me last night as well. Unfortunately, all my teams get let down by the lack of Celtic clean sheet for this midweek, but I'm hoping for the weekend. And you know, it's funny because before Motherwell Hearts last night, I beg your pardon, I seen something on Twitter, or it was maybe a quote from the Motherwell manager saying like, "Oh, a lot of the players in the team have got the cold or got a bug or something."
Yeah.
So I thought Hearts would roll them over, but I think Motherwell won 2-1.
Yeah, they did.
So I don't think it's going to be, from Motherwell's perspective, you know, they're still fighting. Tony will tell you, nothing's done yet. You know, they're still fighting for something. But Parkhead should be a big party atmosphere, and I'm hoping it's a good end to the European season. But when it gets to this time of the year, it's not just about all the celebrations, all the titles getting won. Probably the last thing to touch on, we'll close the podcast out. But how do you guys feel equipped for when all your European cards are going to go on the shelf and go into training lineups for a few months? Are you prepared? Are you shiting it?
Happy.
Happy?
I'm content with my challenger just now. If anything, I might pick up one more. And I'm looking at him just now while we're talking, in Mario Fernandes, and it gives me a 3-man spine at the back. Goalkeeper, Akinfeev, Deviv and Fernandes at the back.
Solid.
Along with McGregor and possibly Smolov. One thing before we go. Do you hate having 2 defenders? Would you always rather have 2 strikers, or would you?
I like using 2 defenders or 2 midfielders as well. I think like 2 strikers is like, it's always that risk if your strikers don't score well all around that they're only going to hit a 45 or something like that. But it really goes like on with the fixtures. If I've got really good fixtures, I don't mind using 2 forwards. That's like, you're hitting for the big rewards there. But a lot of my defenders can do 60, 70 scores and lose 2-0. Like if they keep a clean sheet, you're looking at 80, 90 sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I've got a few. I've got like De Vive. I've got Jan van Heck, who was great at Blackburn this season. Don't know what's going to happen to him next season. I think for me, like talking back to like that question Quinny just posed about like the postseason. So a lot of my challenger players are either like going up into like the Prem again because they may be getting returned from loans, or they're likely to get moved on. So I've got like Darwin Nunez and I've got Anthony, who are both players who are likely to go into the Champ Euro pool. So there's a lot I want to do. I'm also going to lose U23s to, turning 24 in the close season. So I think I'm going to have to do a bit of restructuring if I want to like continue to compete in Challenger next season, if all of the kind of like transfers happen that we expect. So it's going to be interesting to see. Ideally, I think I'm kind of well equipped in Asia and America to still play, but I think I'm going to have to do a bit of rejigging as well, like when all these transfers start to come into fruition.
Big time. When it comes to the double defender thing, like it makes my skin crawl playing 2 defenders in the same team. I hate it. Like I want goal scorers. I want guys that are going box to box and getting stuck into it. Like I think probably the most successful combination is double defense, really, unless you've got like 2 midfield powerhouses rocking out. But my whole gallery is built midfield heavy. Like the most common team I get out is double mid most of the time. Unless I've got, like Stish says, like I've got some guys I'll go double forward on because I expect that they're going to get decisives, or it's somebody like Sané or Depay or Jota, guys that have got amazing dribbling stats, good attempted assist game. And maybe the striker that they're going next to is a guy that I just back to get a goal at the weekend. Because as much as strikers, it's like it's what Stish said, it's a boomer bust play. If they are so decisive reliant. But if a guy's going to score at the weekend, he's on pens, he's playing bottom of the table, he's definitely going to start, he's in good form, then that's a 60-pointer in the bag. You tell yourself when you pick it anyway.
It's true. It's true, yeah. I think, but like you said, like if you've got one of those box-to-box midfielders, like for me, if I'm attacking the D3, like I've got Joey Veerman, super rare. He's like the first card I put in the team if he's fit all the time. But now I've got that Kenneth Taylor on the come up. If next season Veerman and Taylor are both like starting and like picking up decisives most games, that is going to be deadly in the U23. I think Veerman stays, and I think that they're probably going to lose Sangaré in the close season. So I'm hoping he stays at PSV and becomes like the main guy there. And if Kenny Taylor can do the same at Ajax, then I should be in a really good position next season for like Challenger or U23.
I'm desperate to buy Zahavi. I was weeks ago.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I'm just too scared he goes for the cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. You kind of got to wait and see what happens the next few weeks, isn't it?
Too many big contracts out there for these players.
Yeah.
For sure, man. And the thing is, well, is like there's no guarantee they're going to come back anytime soon. Some of them will go out there for a year, take 1 year of the money and come back, but some of them go there and stay it out, and then come back for free. So it's
very true.
It's a funny one that way. I'm a wee bit shiting it for the European off season. Like I've sold a lot of Americans and Asians over the last couple of months. I've got like a threadbare outfit, but it's definitely not as. It's mainly down to some injuries as well. Guys like Joseph Martinez been out, but
mine's just flew up. I've just been doing mad deals that I've ended up with 3 teams. I'm 1 goalkeeper away from having 3 full teams in America, and I don't know how I've ended up because I don't watch any MLS.
You will be now. Yeah. You're going to be watching a lot more now, yeah.
An avid follower. Berghuis,
so Tony's ready for the summer.
That's it.
Ready for an off season. Oh, perfect, lads. Been a pleasure again.
Yeah, always a pleasure, never a chore. Good luck in the game weeks to both of you, and hopefully one of you will be doing some great dancing next weekend, and it won't be me next week.
Can't wait to see your dance.
I need to practice.
I think I'll be back in one of my limited teams anyway. Tony, you'll be going in as captain again. Dzeko let us down last week, by the way. Dzeko only got 23 points, never got that assist.
How bad's
So-
that? I was fuming at that.
Aye.
Gutted.
That's good luck, mate.
Good luck at the weekend to everyone
Been a
listening.
pleasure.
Have a great weekend,
care.
everyone. Cheers.